Meanwhile, the Russian Defense Ministry has reported that Russian air defenses have shot down 121 Ukrainian drones overnight. The ministry has said that 20 drones were shot down over the Rostov region, 19 over the Volgograd region, 17 over the Bryansk region, 9 over the Belgorod region, another 9 over the Moscow region, among many others targeting several other Russian regions. This comes as Russian envoy Kirill Dmitriev had earlier stated that the United States, Russia and Ukraine were quite close to a diplomatic solution to end the Russia-Ukraine war. Now for this discussion, we welcome Alison Mutler. She's a former AP Bureau Chief in Romania, joins us live from England. Thank you very much, Alison, for joining us again. Good to see you.
Hello.
Alison, what's your analysis about, the recent Russian envoy's statements that he said that United States, Russia and Ukraine were quite close to a diplomatic solution to end the Russia-Ukraine war. What's your analysis on this?
To be quite frank, I think it's a smokescreen. I think this is a message he wants to get out that all is not lost. It was a bit of an embarrassment for Vladimir Putin that Trump cancelled the meeting in Budapest, Hungary, and said that no further progress was being made. And I think the Russians want to promote the idea that this isn't the end of the line and that there is still a possibility of talks and a ceasefire. You'll notice that Moscow didn't use the word cancelled. Its official media said the word postponed, whereas Trump said the meeting had been cancelled and there were no further plans for another meeting. So I think Moscow's message to the world is, yes, we are still we're still interested. We want to reach a diplomatic solution. We want a ceasefire and to end hostilities. That's what they're trying to say. But the reality, what they are saying and what is actually happening on the ground are two different things. I don't believe these last statements, but what I do believe is this is the message, this is the spin, if you like, or the narrative that they want to get out to the world, that we are still here, we're still interested in the solution. But I don't see any evidence of that on the ground at this moment.
Yes, indeed. And Alison, now given the continued escalation of this war, how do you think information warfare has been used, and how credible are these recent claims from both parties?
I think the hybrid war, as we call it, or cognitive warfare, I think is its official name, is a very important component of this war. And a lot of people said, in fact, Russia is much better at hybrid war than it is conventional warfare. I mean, they went into Ukraine saying it was a special military operation and thought they would get Ukraine to surrender in 3 days. And here we are more than 3 years. So the hybrid war is a very important war for Russia. And for Ukraine too. They have to present a certain narrative. They have to show that they're winning. They have to show that they're not going to give in. I saw that Vladimir Putin, after Donald Trump slapped sanctions on Russia with the two oil companies and their subsidiaries, Vladimir Putin said, "We will never cave in. They have to pay that they're very strong." To which Donald Trump replied, "We'll see after 6 months," and he seemed to smile at this. So there is a war of words going on, and definitely the hybrid war and the narratives, they are not to be believed. We have to see actually what is happening on the ground and the concrete developments, not what these leaders, particularly in Moscow and to a certain extent in Ukraine as well. Obviously, Ukraine is bringing up a huge fight, and they're very skilled and they're very brave. That's clear. But also, I don't think we have to believe everything that's coming out of Moscow. In fact, we'd be very stupid if we did. And with Ukraine as well. I mean, it's in their interest to show that they are fighting back hard as well.
Yes, indeed. Thank you very much, Alison Mutler, for always joining us and sharing that insight. As a former AP Bureau Chief in Romania, joining us from England. Thank you. Now we stay on this topic. The Russian Foreign Ministry Ambassador at Large, Rodion Miroshnik, has stated that Russia and US has been working on several tracks without fixing on Ukraine. Miroshnik has pointed out by saying it's an absolute fact that work continues between the US and Russia. He has further concluded by saying that work is underway on more than one track, and it's a good thing that the bilateral relationship is not fixated on the Ukraine conflict. According to Miroshnik, The Europeans want to limit the agenda to the Ukraine issue. He has stated that they prefer the two major global powers to communicate through London or Brussels instead of maintaining direct contact. He has further said strategic objectives of the Europeans who are actively blocking direct dialogue between Russia and US. Now for this discussion, we are joined by Professor Andrew Latham. He's a professor of international relations, joins us live from Minneapolis. Thank you very much, Professor, for joining us. How do you analyze the recent statements coming in from Russia, including the statements that we heard from Russian envoy Kirill Dmitriev, saying that US and Russia and Ukraine were quite close to a diplomatic solution to end the Russia-Ukraine war?
Well, I doubt very much that they're very close to a permanent resolution to the underlying sources of conflict. It may be the case that they're a little closer to a ceasefire. The conditions seem to be propitious for some kind of limited ceasefire, but it's not going to happen anytime soon because the Russians are still haven't achieved what they want to achieve on the battlefield and are slowly and grindingly achieving what they want to achieve on the battlefield. Once the two provinces of Donetsk and Luhansk are totally in Russian control, I think the Russians will be willing to sit down and negotiate. The broader point, of course, is that great powers sometimes are in confrontation with each other, sometimes they coordinate and they communicate and they collaborate even. And the US and Russia have to talk about the Arctic, about nuclear weapons, about energy. So those issues don't go away just because there's a proxy war being fought in Europe. And that's sort of what I think the Russian spokesperson was driving at.
And what do you think could be the potential implications of US and Russia maintaining dialogue on issues beyond Ukraine? What is there other than Ukraine for now?
Well, I don't like to draw Cold War analogies too often, but I think it's telling that during the Cold War, when there was an existential conflict between the United States and the then Soviet Union, they still sat down at tables and talked to each other about nuclear weapons